Oh, sometimes you don't have to write the complex song. Just write the song. So, guys, I'm thinking of a song. You know, like, I don't know, like I Want to Rock or something like that. Oh, stop, D.
No.
Write that song. Huge hit for Twisted Sister back in the day. Once again, I have to ask, are we mocking Twisted Sister here?
No, this song's fire.
Okay.
This is an absolute classic, but if you could recite these lyrics, then you're on a whole nother level because he's going so fast. I have no idea what he's saying.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if anybody does. How do you not mumble that part?
Yeah, I've got some of them. That's for the big. I probably have some of them. I'm not the biggest Twisted Sisters fan alive, but I got some of it. But you're right. It is tough.
So nothing in the woman makes me go.
Nothing in the world that makes me go, I believe.
See?
No, it's tough.
Yeah, the makeup was a little off too, but
I waited for so long so I could hear my favorite song, so let's go.
Okay.
That's what that last little bit was, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Little Twisted Sister to get us started today.
Did these guys have other hits, by the way?
Oh, yeah. You got We're Not Gonna Take It.
Oh, all right.
That's Twisted Sister.
That's like the white anthem.
I Want to Rock. That song was massive on MTV for a while. Yeah, that was every other moment. Those are their two biggest hits. There's a couple others, but that is the biggest. Those are probably the biggest two for them. All right, so we'll get obviously other great tunes for you. We'll get some more great Longhorn discussion in with Joe Cook of Inside Texas and On3.com at 105. He was there for the Sark press conference today, and of course that came your way at 11 o'clock. Couple of updates Longhorn-wise. We don't know the Kansas kick time yet. They did the 6-day window on that. Remember, that game is at Kansas on the 19th, so we don't know what the kick time will be until this coming weekend. Of course, you got Texas and TCU this Saturday at 6:30. Our pregame will start at 2:30 on Bevo Boulevard. And yes, College game day is in town for Texas and TCU.
Yo, Chad, one of the biggest parts of the Texas-Kansas State game that I think we have forgotten very early that affected the whole game and definitely affected what Kansas State was probably trying to do, especially in the first half defensively, when number 23, Brents, when he left the game for targeting.
Yep.
Him at 6'4", 200 and something pounds, like he has a chance to play on Sundays. A lot of teams are going to take a look at him just because he's a tough son of a gun and his measurables are out of this world. Again, 6'4", however many pounds, over 200 something pounds. He went out in that first drive, like third, fourth play of the game with that. It was targeting, but that shot on Jordan Whittington, and yeah, that had to affect Kansas State for the rest of the game because he's one of their best defensive players.
So obviously you're a Longhorn fan, so it might color the way you look at that, but did you think it was targeting? Did you think that it should have been called?
I thought the flag should have been thrown. I don't think he should have been tossed.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about that call. Like, Jordan Whittington, he was still good. It wasn't like he was in concussion protocol or anything. Like, I don't think it was that dramatic where he needed to be gone from the game.
Right.
I had no love lost. That's what damn sure.
Yeah, right.
Like, hey, sayonara, homie.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I don't like the fact that we're demonizing the defensive guys and throwing them out of the game. But on one side of it, I could say I thought the contact point was kind of a shoulder or maybe top of the chest, and the helmets kind of made incidental contact. But on the other side of it, if you go back and watch, that ball is gone from Whittington, and he's got a good step and a half to adjust. There was a play in the A&M Florida game where a Florida guy backed off of a hit he could have made at about the 1 yard line, and he just backed off. He put his hands up in the air, and he kind of ran by, changed the whole angle of it. In that moment, if he is good enough to play on Sundays, I think I can argue to 23, he needed to change something.
Oh, yeah.
Something needed to change in a full step and a half. He was not on Whittington right as the ball was gone. That ball was through Whittington's hands, and he knew it was gone.
Oh, he was trying to send a message. It was definitely I'm one of the top players on our defense. This is the first possession of the game. I'm trying to send a message to my team and to Texas that we here and y'all are in for absolute dogfight, and it completely backfired.
And what he needed to do was simply find a rib, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He just went too high. So in the end, I understood why they called it. You're right. That is a massive, it did have a big effect on the game. Texas ultimately stretches out to a lead. They hang on. They make a big defensive play when they needed it. 34-27 was the final. And again, we got your chance to win Texas basketball tickets coming up this segment. Chad and Zay with you on a Monday. There's a lot of text rolling in. There was a lot of, somebody says Saturday was a rough day for Philly. Lost the World Series, lost the MLS Cup on the same day. That's right.
Brutal.
Both those teams did lose on the same one. All right, so lots of stuff obviously coming with the college football side of things. Texas beating K-State. You also over the weekend had Bama and Clemson losing. Let's take a look at our picks in the Supreme Picks. We did have a 3-2 week thanks to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Those two comebacks locked us in at 3-2, Zay. It was going bad for us. We got the Georgia thing to start with, then we missed the Bama thing, and that's close, going overtime. We had the Clemson pick all wrong. Congrats to Notre Dame on a big win. But then those two comebacks yesterday put us at 3-2. We are no longer in the overall lead as a team. And now the horn was already out of it.
Good looking out, Rod and Harge. Good looking out,
as
fellas.
an organization.
Good looking out.
Rod and Harge did go 1-4. They went 1-4. They did.
That's tough. It was a tough week. I'm not going to lie. It was a tough week.
No, it was a rough week.
We could have easily been just like them if Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes didn't go crazy at the very end. Let's go to the Bucs game first. Jalen Ramsey was pissed after the game.
Yeah, if he walked home, I wouldn't be shocked.
Oh, man, he was mad because, under 2 minutes, y'all get a huge stop, big-time fourth down stop, and he was in the middle of it. So he's especially mad because he made some big-time plays covering those guys. And, my man Miller, you got to catch that ball that hits you right in the dome. Like, it could have been over with.
How many drops did the Bucs have? 26? They said it was 6. It felt like 46 to me.
It was a lot.
I watched every second of that game. I still don't know how they won it. I mean, I do, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's Tom Brady and one more drive. And that defense, the Bucs defense, held them together long enough and kept saying, all right, Tom, you got a drive in you. Receivers, you want to make a catch? And finally somebody did.
So it was just 3 straight plays, like not even 20 seconds, I think, left the board when Jalen Ramsey was so mad. Then they punted it. Then that defense if I'm Sean McVay, I'm like, look, Jalen, our defense at the end was awful too, because when you have no timeouts like the Bucs did, and you know that they got to throw the football and you're playing the run and they do a freaking play action and everybody goes for
everybody bites.
Fournette.
Yeah. Right? No, I mean,
so if you're Sean McVay, I'm probably going to have a meeting with Jalen Ramsey like, hey, we all were a big part in this loss.
Yeah. No, it took a village to screw that one up. It looked like the Rams were going to win the game. Bucs come back and win that one. And then last night, just another example of Patrick Mahomes.
68 times.
Being a different kind of dude.
Andy Reid said, we're going to throw the ball 68 times with this guy and complete 43 of them. And he was running for his life. That Tennessee, they're a lot tougher than I thought they were. Vrabel, he does a great job. That defense and Malik Willis, like, wow, I don't know what they were doing with him on the offensive end. That was awful. His stat line compared to Pat Mahomes, like 5 for 16.
Oh, yeah.
That's a joke. But, Patrick Mahomes using his legs, he's just – that's why he's one of the best. That's why he gets paid basically almost $1 billion. Like, he is one of the special ones, and he showcased that last night in that overtime victory.
Yeah, the 6 – it's listed as 6 for 63, 10.5 a carry. That's bad enough, but it felt – twice that bad for Tennessee. That drive of 3rd and 17 and he gets 20, 3rd and 9 gets him the touchdown, and then after a couple penalties, the 2-point conversion he gets into. Just that quickness. He's got that. It's not quite, it's not Lamar Jackson putting his foot in the ground, and it's not Kyler Murray putting his foot in the ground. It's not quite that sudden. But when he makes the decision to go, he can get exactly what he needs, and he's always doing it faster than the defense can keep up. I mean, there's a certain, almost smooth speed to him. It's deceptive.
He's just an athlete. Like, people forget, when he was in high school, he hooped. when he was in high school, he played baseball.
Yep.
And he was also an elite quarterback coming out of that, east part of Texas, Tyler area? So
Yeah, I think he's somewhere out there in East Texas.
Yeah. So he's just a gamer. He's just a straight up athlete. And yeah, it's nothing pretty, but it's always at the right time. That big time 3rd and 17, and then you look on the other side, like Malik Willis, that last drive and overtime, you got to get rid of the football. You can't hold on to it that long and put yourself in that situation. He's young, he's only a rookie, and they definitely once the Chiefs realized, hey, we can't allow Derrick Henry to beat us, which he was dominating that first half. That's when the game changed. And Patrick Mahomes, throwing it 68 times, believing in your quarterback. Like, I know he's icing that arm today.
Yeah,
for sure.
He definitely is. For the rest of the AFC and the rest of the NFL, for that matter, if you've been waiting for that scary moment when the Chiefs seem to figure out, like, how they're going to live without Tyreek Hill, who are they going to find to go along with Travis Kelce? Juju Smith-Schuster, 10 catches,
not bad.
12 targets, 88 yards, had a 17. So together, he and Kelce had 20 catches for 194. Uh-oh. That's a big uh-oh for everybody else. All the different guys that caught balls, I think it was 11 different guys. That catch by Noah Gray was unbelievable.
Oh, that was crazy. I thought that was Travis Kelce.
I did too. Yeah, dude, just making catches for him, making big plays, and we know they're going to scheme it up well. Even Andy Reid doesn't want to go 68 times in a game, but the fact that they pulled that off, how do you throw 68 balls in an NFL game, carry it 19 times, and win? That's silly. Tennessee's got to be kicking themselves. Rams and Titans had to be feeling pretty bad today, but the Bucs got to win. They're somehow still in first place at 4-5 in that division with Atlanta, and then with the Chiefs, they're one of the best teams. They're 6-2. They may not be as good as they were when they won the Super Bowl, and obviously losing Hill's a big deal, but boy, that's a tough out. And we watched Buffalo lose yesterday,
man,
as well.
That. Josh Allen, he threw some passes yesterday. Like, what the hell are you thinking, man? It looked like rookie Josh Allen. Like, that team that they got over there in New York, they're a tough ball club. Sauce Gardner, we talk about their rookies all the time. They're a tough ball club. And, before we go to break, let me say something about Clemson real quick, because a lot of Horn fans were very quick to look at Dabo Swinney and see how good of a move he made with putting Cade Klubnik in there. And yeah, it was a good move at the time, but clearly you have to have a mentally tough team to make certain moves that might affect not only the game that you're in, but the rest of the season. If you can't tell me that DJU isn't in his head at this point and could say, my coach believes in me, with how it went down in that Syracuse game and what we saw on Saturday in Notre Dame. And I get it, Longhorn fans. I wish we had a team to where Steve Sarkisian might have been comfortable enough to pull Quinn Ewers in Stillwater and put in Hudson Card to go win that game and not have to deal with Quinn Ewers wondering or looking over his shoulder about, does my coach believe in me? I wish we wouldn't even have to think about that, because Quinn Ewers is tough enough, and this team as a whole is mentally tough enough to just keep on rolling and not have that thing affect them. But that's just not the case for every single team. And when I saw what I saw in Clemson versus Notre Dame and how they got their ass whooped, first thing I thought about was, oh, they had a bye and they look worse than how they did. And I'm not saying it's for sure that the reason why they lost is because DJU was in his head and worried about Cade Klubnik and whatnot. But that's the risk you have by benching your starting quarterback sometimes and not believing in them. Yes, the Horns lost that Stillwater game. I get that. But you have to have a mentally tough team and mentally tough players to make certain moves. Sometimes you just don't. And Dabo, he definitely took a risk at making that move last week. And he tried to come back with it and say DJU Steph Curry, and he's
like, he immediately said he was the guy, right?
Yeah, he immediately said he was the guy. He tried to come back and salvage that. But with how DJU played last season and with how good Cade Klubnik and all the hype he's coming in with as a 5-star quarterback, there's certain things you got to be delicate with. And they have an issue now. That's a serious issue that they got up there in Dabo Swinney and how they got their ass whooped in South Bend. Now they got a serious issue because he put Cade Klubnik in this game, and Cade didn't look good. And now he's interchanging guys and platooning and stuff. Now they got a serious issue, and they're sitting at 12 with no chance of college football playoff.
Now, I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of that game. It says Cade was only like 0 for 1 and threw a pick. Did he put him in just at the very end? Was it already 35-14?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, he put him in earlier.
He put him out. It wasn't 35-14. It was in the second half sometime, and then But that's the risk you go. Now look at where the Horns are. Look at where the Horns are in a prime position to go to Jerry World. Prime position. Now Quinn Ewers could say, man, for the worst game I've had in my career, this coach believes in me. And this coach did a better job of putting them in situations to be successful this go around, especially in the first half. Second half, we clearly need to work on things. But Steve Sarkisian, sticking with this guy, it paid off. Even with that loss to Stillwater, look at where Oklahoma State is. Now Texas has game day coming in. They're in prime position to beat TCU and go to Jerry World and win a Big 12 title. And that move, not putting Quinn in, hey, we could say that could have benefited and changed the season by him not doing that.
Interesting. Let us know what you think on the Specs text line. Do you agree with Zay on that move and kind of what you saw this weekend? Specs text line 337-3776. Here's your chance to get Texas basketball tickets. The men start the season tonight at Moody Center against UTEP. Let's go caller 6 right now to 447-3776. Call Zay up. Let him know you can go, and a pair of tickets to the game tonight will be yours. Call him right now. Up next in the crab bag, we'll talk a little bit about what's happening to the Aggies right now. If you're a Longhorn fan, your team's looking pretty good, and that team in College Station, not so much. This is The Horn. All right. So we're going there. Chase a little Twisted Sister with some Madonna. Now we're getting off to a start.
I love Madonna, man.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Would you see Madonna live?
Oh, yeah.
You go to that show?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. If you've banged Tupac and Prince, you're an absolute legend of a woman.
Madonna's seen some things.
She's seen some
things and been some places. Twisted Sister and Madonna getting us started today. Shout out to all those Rock and Roll Hall of Fame folks. They had that ceremony over the weekend. Had some crazy stories coming out of there. I cannot wait to see the show. I admit, as a full-grown man, I'm going to get emotional, and I'm probably going to cry when I see Dolly Parton and Rob Halford singing together. I just am. I'm going to tell you right now, because apparently it happened, and apparently they're singing Jolene, and I'm just going to start crying.
Oh, Jolene.
I'm going to lose my crap when that happens. And by the way, if you don't get the musical, like, sort of irony that it would be if Rob Halford walks up to Dolly Parton and says, Jolene, you know, please don't take him just because you can. Like, that's fantastic. Rob Halford, openly gay man, singing Jolene. Oh, my God.
Yeah, beautiful story. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now, question, has Dolly ever posed for Playboy or anything?
No. Dolly had a story years ago where she made an agreement with, I believe it was Penthouse, that when she turned 70, it was either 75 or 100, that if they wanted her to pose, she would. If someone still wanted to see it, she would do it. And then I think it was 75, and that birthday came around and it never happened.
Oh, come on, Penthouse.
But she's been on the cover of Playboy. I don't believe there's ever been a photo shoot.
Wait a minute, you can't be on the cover and not go in.
Oh yeah, you
put
can.
Out. How?
Well, yeah, you can. If you're a big enough star, you can. They've done that a few times over the years. Like if you're in there because you did
that's a scam.
If you did like a badass interview, they'll sometimes put you on the cover.
That's a flat out scam.
Well, probably. I'm not saying it's not. That's a little bit of a deflection. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I know there's some people trying to see Dolly Parton at this point of her life. Here I am.
All right, so we got Joe Cook coming up at 1:05, and as luck would have it, we have wasted just enough time where I'm not going to have to talk about the Aggies a lot. But let's get you a little bit of crap bag here. Let's go. Come on.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. So here are the facts. We'll just lay them out. Last time A&M lost 5 games in a row, it was 1980. That's how long it's been. Here's the question for you, Zay. Do you know how much longer the Aggies are on the hook for Jimbo Fisher? Do you know how much longer?
Oh, man. It has to be till like 2029, that era.
You're almost there. It's 2031. Because when they re-upped, it now means it's 9 more years that they would be on the hook for. Somebody asked me, are you done with Jimbo at the watch party? My answer would ultimately be, not really, but my expectations weren't as high as a whole lot of people when he was hired. If your expectation is he has to win a national title or it's a failure, well, you failed to start because that's a really tough road to ask him to go through. If you said he has to go play for the SEC title in Atlanta, I would still say that might be a little bit of a tough bar to hit, ultimately, if that's what you want. So the question would be, is the culture destroyed? Like, is it complete destruction? Because so far he's been about what you kind of knew he was. Behind the scenes, whatever Jimbo is, I think you kind of knew. The people in Tallahassee would tell you sort of what Jimbo was. The big concern right now would be that in the last 2 games, they've given up 6 yards a carry. 113 carries for 681 and 4 touchdowns.
Woo!
Between Ole Miss and Florida.
Ain't winning many games like that.
It's going to be tough to do. So the thing is, to me, if you're going to respect that class they put together in 22 and you don't believe that they've all given up on Jimbo, then don't you have to give that class a chance to grow? Don't you have to give that class a chance to get at least 2 years down the line and say, what does it look like? So my question today, Zay, to all the Aggies would be this. Do you want him to coach the game when Texas is back on the schedule? Because that's way before 2031. You have 2 full seasons of football to play, and then in the 25 season, that's when Texas joins the SEC, and unless the schedulers are morons, they're going to put them on a schedule together. Do you want him coaching that game? Longhorn fans are going to try to figure that out over the next 2 years about Sark, aren't they? Aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Ultimately, you're kind of thinking, not that that's the only game that matters, but it's one of them. You got a big rival coming back. You're going in the SEC. Do you want him coaching that game? That's the question I would ask Aggie fans right now. Like, if you're an Aggie out there, are you done? You're done. 5 years in. This is it. Injuries, the flu hit. They had like 12 guys with the flu on Saturday. I'm not making an excuse, but it's part of the reason of what was going on. Are they bad this year? Oh, yeah. And they got to win out to go to a bowl game. It's crazy. So
I would love it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And here's your last bit of balance, Texas fans. Right now, your team is 6-3, and College Game Day is coming to Austin. Right now, A&M is 3-6. They're about to go to Auburn to play. And today on Line Zay, I saw that I could get a ticket for $31. I'm just going to let
that's still a little bit high.
How dare you?
I think that's,
How dare
I think
you?
that's a little bit high still.
You don't think the battle of 3 and 6 teams at Auburn is worth $31?
No.
How dare you? A&M at Auburn, then they will play the UMass Pillow game, and then they will host LSU. They've got to win them all if they're going to go to a bowl. We'll see just how upset the Aggies might be with Jimbo. Remember, if they did decide to cut bait, $95 million, something like that.
Yeah, especially with the way Brian Kelly's been looking in his first year down in Baton Rouge. That don't look good for Jimbo either.
That's a whole nother thing, too. Yeah, we'll get to that this week. That was an incredible story and an incredible game, too, with LSU and Bama. All right, there's a little crap bag for you. We do it every day about 12:45. Coming up, Joe Cook, Inside Texas, on3.com. Longhorns beat K-State. Now they move to the other purple problem. They handled the first one. Can they handle TCU? We'll talk about it on the Horn. All right, how about hour number 2 on a Monday? If you come out of the weekend and you are a Longhorn fan and an Astros fan, oh, you're having a good time. They were having a great time over at Lavaca Street Bar with us on South Lamar Saturday evening. Folks showing up in Altuve jerseys, rooting the Longhorns on to a win, and then finishing off with the Astros winning the World Series. Lots of excitement there. Our next guest felt that excitement on both levels because he's a fan of both, too. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and talk to Joe Cook of Inside Texas and On3.com. He's at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter. He follows the Longhorns. He covers the Longhorns. He roots for the Longhorns, and he's also an Astros guy. So he's got to have a smile on his face. How's your Monday, Joe?
Man, it's pretty good. When I was in the press box at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and I'm sure there's 3 tiers basically, and I was at the very top one, and I was a little bit by myself. But there was a point when I'm watching the Texas game, and I think there's a TV timeout, and I peek over at my iPad and I see Jordan just hit that nuke, and I'm just trying not to emote too much, but I'm doing a little dance upstairs, kind of by myself. Nobody could see me, and then it was kind of funny. We were doing post game interviews when the final out was recorded, so I'm like half working and half peeking at my iPad to see what happened. And I-70 in the dead of night is an interesting place to celebrate a World Series victory, but you know what? I'll take it.
Sometimes it happens that way. And they certainly had a lot to celebrate in Manhattan. What did you make of 34-27? Obviously, I'm sure there were a lot of feelings coming back for a lot of Longhorn fans in that second half, but they made the plays when they needed to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can look at the high-level stuff and think that, it's the first true road win of the season. It's Steve Sarkisian's first win over a top 15 team as head coach of the Longhorns, and it was a protected second-half lead. Of course, it did get precarious there in the end, but I think a lot of what Steve Sarkisian said today holds true. A lot of it was self-inflicted. Problem is, there's been a lot of self-inflicted in these second halves, and that's the issue, and they'll work to get it fixed up. If you look at the turnovers, you had Rashawn Johnson, and he just spoke to us in the media. He said, it was a good play by the Kansas State defensive back. That's how you draw it up. If you're trailing down and you got a bicep arm, that's what you do when you try to knock the ball out. And then, of course, with Worthy, sometimes you can hold the ball as tight as you could ever hold a football, and if a guy puts a hat on a hat, it's there. So that's 2 opportunities there. That the opponent, that Kansas State was able to only take advantage of with 7 points. But, the defense, it's still banged up. Anthony Cook gave some effort out there, but only could be out there for a few plays. Deuce Vaughn did his thing because he's Deuce Vaughn. He's always going to, but they were still able to hold up at the very end. And the defensive line, a unit that had a really strong game, but just didn't really have the stats to show for it, finally gets it in the end with that Keandre Coburn forced fumble. So the high-level takeaways are awesome. You get an important win. You stay in the Big 12 race. You get a win on the road in a place that thought that, they were going to be Big 12 title contenders, and, of course, still are. But, kind of like we talked about with Iowa State and a couple other games, you get to come home and fix that riding off of a win, and that's especially important this week when a top 5 team comes to town. And y'all heard what Sark said earlier. They haven't beaten a top 5 team here in Austin since 1999. So it's been a good bit since that's happened.
No doubt.
Joe, all eyes were on Quinn Ewers and how he will bounce back from that awful performance in Stillwater. And I thought he played a solid game, definitely solid enough to not put you in bad situations. And clearly, Bijan Robinson's 209, that definitely helps. But what did you see out of Quinn Ewers on his second true road test?
Very, very much a bounce back game. I think with that game against Oklahoma State on the road, you saw a bad version of a freshman on the road, and that's what happens. I think in this game, you saw a good version of a freshman on the road. Didn't really make a lot of mistakes. Made the right reads through the right places. But he didn't have to really showcase much of, or try to showcase much of what has made him the highly, regarded quarterback he is. He wasn't cooking like he was in that first quarter of the Alabama game, but that's fine. You're on the road. It's cold. It was windy there like it kind of was in Stillwater. So I thought he performed really well. It's a performance that he can probably go home and say, you know what, I may not have been like the reason we won the game, but I certainly didn't help us lose. And I've certainly helped our team more than I hurt it. So it's a good good sign of progress for him. You were able to see him. You still want to see him connect with those deep shots, and part of the risks of deep balls are that they're tough to complete. And that's something that he's got to work on. Xavier Worthy's got to work on, and others involved with the offense do. But those are things that'll show up. And overall, when that's the thing you have to work on, compared to, hey, don't throw this interception, or hey, something like that. That's a good way to be able to go back into the bye week, or into this week, as opposed to the way they went into the bye week, coming off a pretty rough road debut.
Yeah, he looked a whole lot more comfortable. Joe, you're right. Good to see that, hands feeling better, the rhythm's feeling better, and certainly Quinn's passes looked a lot better. We're talking with Joe Cook inside Texas. Joe, obviously 34-27 is all that matters, but if I'm a Texas fan, 209 rushing yards to 73 is big. The fact that Bijan got 30 carries for 209, and they were able to contain Deuce Vaughn to a degree. Deuce had his moments, don't get me wrong. Watching him dance into a couple of those holes was incredible. Both those guys showed off. But the fact that they contained him to 3.8 a carry, yeah, he caught a couple and obviously caught the touchdown, but that was impressive to me that the defense was able to make sure that Deuce Vaughn just didn't completely become the show on the other side.
Absolutely. There weren't a lot of inside runs, and granted, that's not his game, but still, there weren't a ton of inside runs where it seemed he got to the second level. He was a factor in the pass game, and when you're matched up against guys like Jalen Ford and DeMarvion Overshown, who have played really well, but are linebackers taking their drops, that's going to be really, really tough. And that first one was, I'm pretty sure that first touchdown that he had, it was, Jalen Ford trying to take his drop and just not going deep enough against a really quick guy. So that's something that you live with, maybe not live with, but would like to see change, but understand why it happened. But as far as defending the run, yeah, phenomenal job. Texas has done that really well all year. You can really credit not just the defensive tackles, but I thought the edge guys had one of their better games. We've talked a lot about Ovie Oghoufo and how sometimes he gets upfield. I thought he held his own pretty well. May not have reflected in the stat sheet, but I thought it reflected in the way the game went. And especially with Adrian Martinez, like that's an offense that every now and then, especially with someone like Colin Klein running the show, they like to run the quarterback, and that's part of why Martinez played. I think he was still really banged up, so that's a question I'm curious to see what the answer coming out of Manhattan is between why Chris Kleiman and Colin Klein elected to go with Martinez instead of maybe Will Howard. But still, that's a quarterback who's really mobile, and they didn't really let him do a whole lot. There was a lot that they were able to get done through the air, but nothing that really, aside from that big Malik Knowles play and I guess Deuce's touchdown reception, there weren't a lot of looks, just unbelievable gashing. Yeah, there were some 15, 20-yard gains, and you don't want that to happen, but there was, they made sure that Adrian Martinez had a hard night, and then finally that night culminated with the Keandre Coburn forced fumble.
Yeah, Joe, I thought that Adrian Martinez throwing for 36 times, that's a bit much for probably Colin Klein and Chris Kleiman's taste. But, you've got another big-time quarterback coming in, Max Duggan, and him and Kendre Miller, they're as tough as it gets with their running attack, and you got to worry about Quentin Johnston. But these Horns, they've been timely on defense. They haven't been great overall, but they've been timely, whether that's forcing fumbles like we saw with Snacks and Jalen Ford, or the one with Hunter Deckers in the Iowa State game. How do you feel like this Horns team matches up with TCU coming into town 6 o'clock at DKR Saturday?
It's going to be tough because I think just think of everything Kansas State wants to do, but with better guys kind of at those key positions. I think Max Duggan's playing better than Adrian Martinez and may have similar running attributes. Kendre Miller, he may not be as lightning quick as Deuce Vaughn, but he's a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, and has his own share of quickness. And of course, we'll see what Quentin Johnston is able to do. It seems like he's been banged up over these past few weeks, but he's as good of a receiver as there is in the Big 12. You combine that with some other really good receivers. Tay Barber comes to mind. Heck, former Longhorn Jared Wiley's over there playing tight end. This is a potent offense, and it's an experienced offense. A lot of teams aren't as fortunate as Sonny Dykes was to walk into a situation where they have a lot of experience and they don't lose a ton of it to the portal. That's exactly what happened this year. You combine that with Garrett Riley running an offense not too far away from what they were running last year with TCU. Air raid principle, still wanting to run the ball, and it's really conducive to success. So I think you got to do what Steve Sarkisian harps on a lot. You got to be able to stop the run, and you got to be able to make sure that you get in Max Duggan's face while still being able to corral him and keep him inside the pocket. They talked about rush lane so much this year from the front four when it comes to talking about getting after the passer. That's going to be just as true this game as it has been in any other game, and should be really exciting to see. And I think that if you're going to give me one player to think about on this Texas defense, it may be Ryan Watts. Because if you can make this game, if you put Ryan Watts over on Quentin Johnston, I know they'll move him around, but if you let number 6 match up with number 1, I feel like if you're Pete Kwiatkowski and Steve Sarkisian, that's a battle you can live with and hope to make maybe not 10 on 10. You don't want to just leave him on the island the whole time, but you feel good about your chances if you got number 6 over there guarding number 1.
Joe, in terms of this team and the psyche going into these last few games, now they see it's all out in front of them. If they win out, they get to go to Jerry World and fight for the conference championship. Do you think what we saw last Saturday was a major step for them? We saw a double-digit lead. It did not go away. They held it all the way from 21-10 all the way through the very beginning of that fourth quarter, and then they went and answered with that field goal and made it 34-24. And I thought down the stretch, I just kept thinking, third-party observer, okay, Texas is better tonight. They are better than Kansas State. They need to find a way to win this game. And then they do it, and you heard the players after. You interviewed a lot of those players about how much it meant to them. Do you think this was a major crossroads step for this team, and we'll look back and say that's the night they found themselves in Manhattan?
I think that's a really good way of putting it, because if they don't do that, then they're just waiting another couple weeks until Kansas. And then by the way, they're waiting and the number 4 team comes to town. So not only were they able to kind of get over that hump, like you mentioned, but they do it right on the cusp of this TCU team coming into town. And it keeps something, honestly, I think players like to say that it doesn't affect them and they could view each game like a season, but it does still keep something in front of them. Like if they lose that game, you don't make the Big 12 title game with 3 losses. It just has not happened in the current history of that Big 12 title game. So not only do you get to, have what you mentioned, that they're a better team, they played like the better team, the scoreboard reflected that they were the better team, you get that, but also there's not much time to celebrate on it. You get to say, like, that's what we're supposed to do. That's the way things are supposed to be around here. And by the way, okay, we got to prepare for this top 5 playoff contender who sits ahead of us in the Big 12 ranking. So, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and it really helps in this area to where, they're not going to be able to really just sit and celebrate. I mean, I think that you've seen at times where this team, I don't know if they celebrate or they get too much in their heads, but they don't come out full bore the week after something really positive happens to them. And that's part of the growing process. And I think that, this week there's literally no reason for them not to come out full bore with, the things ahead of them and the team literally ahead of them this coming Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, Joe, if they need another players meeting in order to get them going again, I'll take that. Sure, we've had 2 back-to-back, and they've came in dubs. But let me ask you this. Bijan Robinson might have played his best game as a Longhorn, and that's saying a lot. But with another big-time game, with everything going on this weekend, game day coming into town, being the game of the week, could Bijan put himself in the Heisman race if he has a big-time game this Saturday against TCU?
I definitely think so, but I mean, the Longhorns have to win too. We've seen guys put together just unreal statistical seasons. Heck, we saw it at Texas not more than a decade ago. And you can win a Doak Walker. You can win some other individual honors. You can win Player of the Year and stuff like that. But you're not going to New York unless you're on a team that's got buzz around it for team purposes, not just player purposes. Of course, if he gets 100 yards and contributes in the pass game like he has, and gets a couple scores on this TV audience, and yeah, absolutely. It'll definitely be conducive to him getting to New York, especially when guys like Bryce Young now has 2 losses. Thinking of elsewhere, CJ Stroud just came off a bad game. It's kind of open season on that Heisman race. There's still a lot of other really good running backs this year, including Corum up at Michigan. Charbonnet out at UCLA. There's good backs all up and down. Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he doesn't do a bunch of running because of Alabama's offensive problems, he does everything else, it seems like, and he's been phenomenal there. So he's someone to look after. And, of course, Max Duggan, too. It's a big one for him. So if Bijan comes out and, puts together another similar performance, which I don't know if he'll be as productive, but he'll probably have the same amount of opportunities because Steve Sarkisian knows where the bread is buttered here or mustarded here, I guess if that's a verb. He'll understand. He'll be able to continue to put himself in contention. I think he definitely is in contention. You see the Vegas odds always mention him. A lot of people are mentioning him. And, if you really want to get that hype train going, College game day is one way to start. A good game's another, and a win is a really great way to be able to do it all.
Yep. Somebody texted me earlier, Chad, earlier in the season, you said it was laughable to talk about him and the Heisman. What do you think now? If they keep winning and he keeps looking like that, New York's absolutely a possibility, especially with the season that's played out around him now. There's a shot. We've seen that with a 3-loss team. I don't know that a 4-loss team would give him that opportunity with a 3.
That'd be tough.
If they keep it right here and keep winning, he definitely has a shot. Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com, at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter. Give him a follow. Joe, we appreciate the time. Congratulations to your Astros. Enjoy that. Get yourself some gear and merch and enjoy all the parade videos today, and we'll talk next week.
It's going to be an orange and blue Christmas at my house, guys, but thank you so much.
That's right. That's the way it happens. That's a good feeling. I've had that a few times with my teams, and that is what definitely my in-laws are going to be doing. There's going to be way too much Astro stuff flowing around my in-laws. In fact, my niece and nephew didn't have to go to school today, Zay.
Yeah, that's wild.
They had schools in Houston that said, you know what, y'all take an extra day to go ahead and celebrate the Astros. So, yeah, my niece and nephew got a day off.
Yeah, if that doesn't tell you that H-Town's an Astros town, I don't know what does.
That is crazy.
But that's the outskirts too, right? Or is that just the city
limits?
No,
they're not in they're in Sugar Land.
Oh, okay, that's deep.
They're not in Houston proper, but they're in the area. They're right there in that area.
That's deep.
So real quick before the break, as he was talking about Bijan and you were asking about him and everything, I haven't rewatched the whole game again yet, but that run, I guess it would have been the first touchdown run, where he goes through, kind of runs through a little trash at the beginning of it. Gets knocked off balance.
Great blocking by J.T. Sanders, by the way.
Yes, great block.
Terrific block.
You're right, great block.
Going in motion, yeah.
But then they swiped at his feet a little bit. He gets knocked off. He somehow is increasing his speed while falling to his left. He gets the balance back. Then at about the 8-yard line or so, somebody else swipes at his feet. He gets taken down, but his quads and hamstrings start firing double time, and he somehow still gets to the end zone. That was an incredible run.
You always forget how big he is because he makes small guy moves. I always forget he's around 220, 6 foot. Because he's just out there making Barry Sanders moves, and it's just so easy for him. He was pissed that he didn't take that second run to the house, that second very long run. In the first
when they
half,
caught him,
he was hot. He did not like that he got caught, but yeah, he put on an absolute show. And just watching the second half, all the penalties and just the lack of spice Steve Sarkisian just throws with the playbook. He should have had around 250 or more than that, but the second half woes. Those are still problems with this Texas Longhorn football team. But at the end of the day, they did what they had to do to win, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and if there is a Heisman discussion to be had with him in terms of trying to get him in that talk, the Tennessee loss helped him out because of Hooker. I mean, I hear people talking about Bo Nix.
Stop it.
I heard people saying Bo Nix's name over the weekend.
Stop it.
You're in a weird year, and the guys like, I keep bringing them up, but the guys like RG3 and Manziel, they won it in weird years. Ricky won it in kind of a weird year where you could have a couple losses, but you just started churning it. And also, Ricky's going after that record, so that's a little bit separate. But if he keeps doing this, and there's not somebody on an elite team, there's just not a Georgia Bulldog that feels like they should go to New York right now. I don't think. Is it Bennett? Like,
hell no.
Who would it be? Bowers? Like, do you send a tight end to New York? I don't think that's going to happen. So that's where Bijan has a chance. This is a huge weekend, obviously, because it's on ABC and everything. It was a lot of fun to watch those two guys, he and Deuce Vaughn. Real quick, that little pass pattern when Deuce caught the ball and then immediately turned back to his left. His feet.
Smooth, man.
Oh, my God.
He's smooth.
His feet are
Kansas
incredible.
State fans, they're soft, though. They bitched after every single play. They wanted a flag after everything. There was one Ryan Watts play where they were tangling, their ball was thrown across the middle and was incomplete, and Knowles falls on the ground, and you hear the crowd, oh! And then Deuce Vaughn felt like he had about 4 face mask calls that should have been called. One was called, but Deuce is smart. Like, when he's so low to the ground, and when he gets hit, he'll, like, throw his neck around. You notice that? You notice Deuce will like throw his neck and he'll fall in awkward ways where you think that it's a call. And Texas Tech got hosed on a non-face mask call, which was called face mask on Max Duggan. Their big-time defensive end, Wilson, he made a great tackle on Duggan, which could have changed the game, but Duggan like threw his neck to the side, and the refs threw the flag, thought it was a face mask. Ain't nobody touch his mask. That changed the game for Texas Tech and TCU.
Interesting. All right.
Refs, get it together.
All right.
They're starting to fool you. These Kenny Pickett fake slide looking dudes, they starting to fool you. Don't get fooled. Be on your P's and Q's.
Zay's putting you on notice, Big 12 officials. Have it straight with TCU comes to town this weekend. It's a huge game at 6:30 on Saturday. We're breaking down the Kansas State victory. If you have something to throw in, 337-3776 is that number. We'll keep reading text today. Also, coming up, your Flex 30 segment. The playoffs are set in high school football. We'll tell you how close it was for Zay's Bowie Bulldogs. Going one way, and then they end up going another way. We'll tell you about those matchups. We got one of them for you. Actually, we got all 3 of our teams that we've been bringing you throughout the season. They've all got playoff matchups. We'll set that up for you next on The Horn. Oh, I think I recognize that harmonica. That's Big John Papa right there and Blues Traveler. Yes?
That's right.
There we go.
Hook.
That's the name of the song?
Yeah, it's just called Hook.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. That band had its time, man. They had a big run. He used to walk up on stage with one of those weird jackets on that had places for like 30 harmonicas.
This feels 90s. Is this 90s?
Yeah, I would imagine. I bet if you look it up, yeah, there's definitely a 9 involved in there, no doubt about it. Blues Traveler, Madonna, and Twisted Sister on the show today. We hope you are having a good one. If you're a Longhorn fan, you're having a good weekend coming off the win against Kansas State. You are excited about the Moody Center opening up this week. You got 2 good basketball teams. Men's team, preseason number 12. They'll play UTEP tonight, 8 o'clock, right here on the Horn. They also play Thursday night. And then the women's team is preseason number 3. And they play on Friday against Louisiana. So all that excitement is there. Also, during the show, somebody texted us earlier that they were hearing that Anthony Hill, the linebacker from, is it Denton Ryan? Yeah, Denton Ryan, who had committed to A&M, was going to be in attendance against TCU, and that Colton Vasek, the Westlake lineman that had committed to Oklahoma, was going to be in attendance. So you think, okay, that's cool, and you're going to say, you talk about it all the time. They're going to recruit him right to the very end, and Texas may be able to put on a show that could convince these young men that maybe they should consider a different color. And there are now stories today on both sides of that discussion that would make a Texas fan happy.
Yeah, you gotta love that. You gotta love what you're seeing with this football team, man. How can you not want to come here and play football, especially if you're from the state of Texas? Like, it's getting back to that point to where you got to get all the top dogs in the state. They should not want to leave the state. I said about basketball, and it damn sure should be the case about football. It should be about baseball, swimming, track, anything you want. You should be able to get the kids to come here that are from here. And those are 2 big-time names that could change the way your defense looks in the upcoming years if they come here.
All right, so let's give him the updates. Colton Vasek, you said earlier, has wiped something off of social media.
They don't say Oklahoma commit.
Okay. Not that necessarily means anything, but
it used to say Oklahoma commit.
It did used to say that. That's a piece of information you might want to know, Longhorn fans. And then just recently, how long? This is in the last, 10, 15 minutes? It's come out now that Anthony Hill has decommitted?
Yeah.
Okay.
And both will be in town for this TCU game.
Now,
the Gary Patterson Bowl.
Somebody texted us, has Vasek decommitted, though?
I haven't seen that.
Okay. That's something we will double check.
Anthony Hill has, yes.
Anthony Hill had, and that's obviously big, and that's the linebacker again out of Denton Ryan, one of the big wins for the Aggies in this class. In fact, that was the win over Texas in recruiting. They got that Aggie class to jump from, what was it, in the 60s up into the 40s, high 30s, because that's been a big concern for A&M side of things is, wait a minute, you're backing up the number 1 class maybe ever with that?
Yeah.
Not a great class.
Yeah, what you see, he sees what Jalen Ford's doing every week. He just got player of the week again in the Big 12.
He's playing really well.
All the fumble recoveries, that pick, all the tackles that he's making. Demarion Overshown, all the freedom that he has. If you're a linebacker, especially with how good this defensive line's been, giving those guys opportunities to make tackles. If you're a linebacker, hey, I would want to play for Pete Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, so again, Colton Vasek, not sure if he's actually decommitted, but somebody's texting us saying that folks in says rumors are Vasek is next. People in Westlake are saying maybe he is going to decommit at some point. So maybe by the time the game kicks off, it's not even a matter of these are 2 commits going to the game. These could be 2 recruiting free agents going to the game with Texas and TCU. That could be huge. Remember, 6:30 is the kick time. 2:30 Bevo Boulevard fires up. But even before that, you got College Game Day coming to town. And by the way, somebody texted in earlier today, and this is just one of those facts for the week, that this football season, the Longhorns have more College Game Days than the Aggies have conference wins. It is true. It is absolutely true. And by the way, this is about the scariest question that I can ask any Aggie right now. if you're an Aggie out there, brace yourself. 10-2 as I ask the question. How would you feel if that Arkansas kicker made that kick? Wow. Think about
Those
that.
people went 10-2. They might have drove off the road on that one.
They'd be 2-7, Zay.
Yeah.
They'd be 2-7. And by the way, if you go back and look at the Miami win and how weirdly clunky it was, Miami beat them in every stat. It's just that the Aggie defense held for enough field goals and made that thing ugly enough. And Miami was a little sluggish. The only game, they beat Sam 31-0. That's about the only game that they clearly won. And then the others are just weird and strange, including that Arkansas one.
Like, how y'all get the flu? With COVID going around, y'all don't even get that. Y'all get the flu.
I do not know. I haven't heard
and
the
pass it around.
Yeah.
College Station flu, whatever's going on down there.
Flu's been going around, man. It has been going around. I guess whoever was maybe filming Denver Harris in the parking garage. Maybe they weren't wearing a mask. All right, so a lot of stuff going on today, Longhorn-wise. Getting you ready for the basketball game. We gave away some tickets earlier on in the show, and so basketball will crank up tonight, 8 o'clock tip here on the Horn. Let's get you a quick flex segment here, and we'll set you up for the playoffs on Friday.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right. Somebody says they got the flu from passing the blunt around too much. Oh, how dare you. How dare you. All right. So for the flex segment, of course, FLXATX.com for all of your flex coverage, high school coverage. Let's just stop. They won't want me to do this, but I'm just going to stop right now. And we got to give the Flex crew some love. We got to give Snoop and Derek and Zach and Nolan and that crew love. And Corey was on the board for what they pulled off Friday night.
Henderson, he be in the building.
Ty Henderson was here.
Cam be in the building.
Cam was here. Cam was dealing with all that as well. Jacob Mendoza helps him out. There's all those guys that are here. So they get into a situation where Lake Travis and Bowie just canceled. Did they play any of the game, by the way?
I don't think so. I think there was something happened and somebody got fainted or somebody got sick or I don't know.
Oh, yeah, somebody had to be care flighted out of there. Something like that?
Yeah, something
like
happened. It wasn't a player. It was I want to say it was a fan or something. I hope they're all right, though.
So they end up having, we got spots that need to be played and all those kind of things and sponsors to take care of. So they basically go 5.5, 6.5 hours, updating scores. They were throwing out to some of the IHS fan games that we have on hornfm.com, little red zone. It
was cool.
Snoop running the red zone channel and everything. So shout out to those guys for covering it so well. And it was a crazy night, Zay. Here's how crazy it was. As I'm understanding it, and I can't explain all this just like Craig Way can, so I'll try to give you the simple version. As I understand it, Manor is finishing off a victory on Friday, and at that moment, McNeil is leading by 2 touchdowns with 8 minutes to go or something like that, 9 minutes to go in their game. And at that moment, Maynard's thinking, okay, if that holds, then we will host a playoff game and we'll host Bowie. So you guys, we're going to go to Maynard. But then Cedar Ridge comes back on McNeil, ends up beating them, and then based on everything else that happened, and again, stuff goes late into the night. I saw Dripping Springs people saying they didn't finish till 12:30. Something like that. And then Craig was saying today on Light the Tower, there was a game the Austin High game went to almost 1 a.m. So everything's going late. By the time it all said and done and it all settles, Manor has been kicked down the ranking a little bit in terms of the seeding, so they don't get to host. And not only do they not get to host, they've got to go to Dripping Springs.
Ooh.
So Dripping Springs will host Manor. In Bowie's situation, based on how it was all played out, they were going to go to Manor, but then things got switched around and they end up where the Division II switched for Vandegrift, I believe is how to explain this, and Bowie now goes to Vandegrift. And I'm sitting there thinking, my God, if I'm either one of those two teams, I want to play each other. I do not want to play who they're actually going to be playing. I think that ends up being bad for both Bowie and Manor. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think those are bad matchups now for both teams, whereas the matchup with each other, I think that could have been a pretty good one for your Bowie Bulldogs.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the matchups are the matchups, and we ain't going to back down.
There you go.
You know, with that Lake Travis game, the Dogs got an extra week of rest.
That's true.
How I look at it.
I bet that's how Lake Travis does too.
We got an extra week of rest to get right and to lock in on one of the best teams in the area, the Vandergrift Vipers, who they're looking to try to go on a very long run themselves. But yeah, it's been tough playing Westlake, then Lake Travis, then Vandergrift.
Yeah.
Now we basically get a bye, get that body right. We're good to go on Friday. Ready to go.
It's going to be wild, man. Vandergrift hosts Bowie. It is at Vandergrift Stadium, and that is going to be on 101.9 and AM 1260 at 7 o'clock. Same kick time for Lake Travis. They go to Round Rock to take on the Dragons and Mr. Cochran. It'll be a physical affair there because Cochran is an incredibly physical running back. If you haven't seen that physical quarterback that runs a lot, if you haven't seen that Round Rock team, that's a 7 o'clock kick on 104.9. And then LBJ, based on how everything played out, they're going to host Elgin at Nelson Field. I think I've convinced the girls we're going to head out there and rock the purple. A lot of purple in that house.
That's
that
a lot
night.
of purple.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. We got a Good Friday plan, Zay. We already have early tickets to go see Black Panther, so I may have Panthers, Jaguars, and Wildcats. It's going to be a big Cat Friday for me. We'll get out of that movie in time. We're going to head over to the game. My daughter's grumbling about, I don't want to go outside for a football game. We're going to make her go. We're going to make her go. I say, your school's in the playoffs. What are you doing? We got to go.
Yeah.
Got to go root them on.
Yeah. I get that.
So we'll see if Elgin can tackle Cedric Alexander at all.
Yeah. Oh, good luck, Elgin.
Yeah.
What I don't get, you're saying they're going to see Black Panther. I don't know if I could see it with my man Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P.
Oh, it's going to be sad.
How are they doing that?
I'm a Marvel guy. I'm an MCU guy. I like some of the actors they already have in. I want to see where they go. I want to see where we go with the story. But I'm with you. Boseman was amazing, and I don't know how they're going to pull it off.
Now, I love some Angela Bassett. She's like 64 years old. She looks 40.
That's one of the reasons I'm going.
Man, Stella got her groove back. Stella has never lost her groove.
The actor that plays his sister, the smart computer-savvy sister, she's awesome. The other woman that plays the bald-headed guard badass, I like her a lot, and I'm interested to. And also the dude that plays the leader of the other tribe on Wakanda, he's cool. I want to see who we add. I want to see what the new villain's all about. So
because they can't bring back Michael B. Jordan. He dead, right?
He was gone. He was a good villain too. Oh yeah. That was a good. I wish they could have stretched him for a couple movies.
Come on.
He was so good.
I mean, they weren't banking on Chadwick, I'm guessing, but
they may not have been banking on the movie being as monstrous as it was.
What?
Maybe they weren't. I don't know. Maybe they weren't thinking, or maybe Michael B. Jordan told him, "Hey, I got a schedule, man.
Let me go do Creed 5."
One time. He directed the last Creed, man. He's got a lot going on.
That's right.
He's got a lot going on.
He does.
All right, so the flex will be there for you. We'll do it every day at 1:30, and then we've got those playoff games for you. So 3 playoff games Friday night, plus the women's game on 105.3 The Bat. If I didn't mention it, LBJ is going to be on Coke FM. We'll be telling you that throughout the week, but Coke FM, CokeFM.com, the Coke app, that is where you can find the LBJ game. So if you've been checking them out all season with us here, you'll need to go to Coke FM to listen to LBJ on Friday night. Exciting week coming. All right, up next, it's Where We At in Society. Zay will let us know. And then at 2 o'clock, it is back to the big stories of the day. The Longhorns have a clear path to Jerry World and a Big 12 title. And the Astros have a clear path down the parade route because they got ring number 2. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad talking Twin Peaks, and some weeks are just bigger than others, Cowboys fans, and you know what this week is all about. I don't care what records say. I don't care what losing streaks say. You're taking on Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau, and you're trying to keep the momentum going. If you want a place to watch the game, get on out to Twin Peaks because they're giving away epic Cowboys jerseys all season long just for catching the games with them. So get to Twin Peaks for every Cowboys game for your chance to win. Remember, 325 kick this Sunday. Ask your Twin Peaks girl for more details. Plus, since November is kicked off, they at Twin Peaks want to honor our veterans. So for Veterans Day, they're celebrating those who serve by giving back to Tunnel to Towers. Tunnel to Towers is a foundation that helps America's heroes by providing homes to first responder families. Get to Twin Peaks and donate $5 to Tunnel to Towers through November 30th and receive $5 back to spend on you at Twin Peaks this December. Visit your favorite Twin Peaks for more information. You got a couple to choose from. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views, Stastny, San Marcos, and Round Rock, TwinPeaksRestaurant.com. I like this metal attitude you got going on in a couple cases today. Like this. Started with a little Twisted Sister. Now we've moved on to Quiet Riot. Come on now.
Mental health.
Got to have some mental
Bang
health.
your head.
You got to have some mental health, some metal health. Got to have all of it. Historic band. First technical metal band to go number 1, Quiet Riot.
Really?
This is what started the Sunset Strip LA thing. As soon as this band hit, all those bands down on that LA Strip with the big hair and the spandex and everything, they started getting deals left and right.
Wow.
This is what started it. Quiet
So they
Riot.
put on for everybody then.
They got it started. Yep. Much like when I think of them, I sort of think about Beastie Boys, because I thought Beastie Boys ended up being one of the most important rap acts that ever existed, because they were the first rap act to go number 1. Once you go number 1, you tell all the moneymakers what can happen. You're like, wait, what? Huh? That fight for the right to party thing?
See, that's the thing.
That
Beastie
just went
Boys,
number
they're
1?
like half hip-hop, half rock and roll.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying.
But
it tells you what elements can be put together to get to the top of that chart. So that ends up being big. Quiet Riot, rest in peace to the great Kevin Dubrow. What a great frontman he was back in the day. All right, so we've had a little Blues Traveler as well, a little Madonna in the middle there, and some metal on the edges with Twisted Sister and Quiet Riot. Chad and Zay with you on a Monday. It is a big Monday if you are a Longhorn fan. Not only did you get the win at K-State, you closed the door, you found a way, made a play at the end of that game, you win that game. You got both basketball teams firing up this week. You got game day coming to town for Saturday, and if you're just tuning in, you've got 2 big pieces of recruiting news that one's already happened and one may happen, but this is all true. Colton Vasek out of Westlake, the D lineman, has taken OU commit off of his social media. So this is not us necessarily cyber stalking the kid, but I guess it is sort of us. We're not cyber stalking. We're just cyber.
That's what we've been told to be.
We're just cyber.
More in tune with high school sports. That's what we're doing.
That's
Flex
true.
is big on this station.
That's fair.
We're just doing our job.
That is fair. That is so. And you know what? I think one of our bosses, Jason Nasur, might think it responsible of us to let everybody know if a social media account changes like that.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that he was a player at Texas back in the day and walked, I'm sure that's immaterial. That would be immaterial to that situation. But so we'll see what happens there with Colton Vasek. And the report overall is that he may be in attendance on Saturday for the Texas TCU game. But the big story of the day ends up being on the other side of a rival discussion, in the House divided part of that discussion. While things are going on in College Station that don't look like football at times, Anthony Hill, the linebacker out of Denton Ryan, has decided that he's decommitting from A&M. Not that that means he couldn't end up at A&M, of course. Nowadays, you do see more decommitments and recommitments than you used to see. But if you're a Longhorn fan, and the report is that he may be in attendance this Saturday for Texas and TCU, that's got to make you feel pretty good if you are a Texas fan. So all that is going on today as we get ready for Texas and TCU, and continue to talk about Texas beating Kansas State over the weekend. All right, before we get back to all that, let's get you a quick where are we at in society. I think there's something for me to look at on Twitter. Here we go.
Where are we at in society? Where are we at in society today?
Ooh, I like that. Kind of an echoey Mike Gundy. I'm all for that. All right, Zay, am I right? Do I have something I need to look at?
Yeah, pull up those DMs, Chad.
Zay is always in my DMs. Zay, why are you always in my DMs? Come on.
Twitter's just a hilarious place.
Yeah, it
so
is.
I got to respond to these things.
Here we go.
Stetson Bennett had a pretty big game on Saturday where his number 1 now? His number 1 Georgia Bulldogs beat the previous number 1 Tennessee Volunteers in that matchup, but Stetson Bennett got hit up on Twitter for bad reasons because he left a $10 tip for a $190 meal at a restaurant in Athens. Now, before, without NIL, I would say there's nothing wrong with this. This is a college student, doesn't make anything. It's pretty, it's tough times in college football. But with NIL, with Stetson Bennett and his resume of being a national championship or national champion, you would like to think homeboy has a little bit more in his pockets where he could give more than a $10 tip.
Yeah, it's just all about this is all about the math of the situation. They took a picture of the bill here, and the tip that's required, an 18% tip would have been a little over $30, 35 for a 20% tip, 25% tip was $44. So there's two parts to this. You should never go eat at a place like that unless you're prepared to pay, including if you're the starting quarterback at Georgia. I get that if I'm Stetson Bennett, there's got to be a little bit of a do you know who I am, but you can't assume you always get it free. Not always. I understand y'all won the Natty. I do. But if you're going to a place that high end in Athens.
Yeah, you know already if you're going to get that treatment.
Yeah.
If you're going to get that, like, oh, this Stetson Bennett, it's on the house
Yeah,
treatment.
if it bugs you that much, why didn't you find out well before this bill showed up? Ask them, Stetson. Like, ask the question. Hey, man, just double checking. Are we good here? Or do I need to get, make it a joke, make it fun? Do I need to have my credit card ready? Oh, no, Mr. Bennett, we got you. Or you're going to have to pay and you're going to have to be an adult in this situation. The one thing you got to know, Zay, in a social media world, if you leave $10, it's getting out there.
It's getting out there. Ask Scottie Pippen. Now, they also said, the waitress said he throws temper tantrums like a 2-year-old when the manager told him he had to pay for the meal and it wasn't free.
Yeah, I wonder when that happened. Again, was that all after the meal? Did he sit down and assume they were going to – you can't assume a comp, man. Even you. I'm sorry, Stetson. You can't.
So he's kind of a D-bag.
Kind of.
It's clearly that's what it is. Now, I low-key felt bad for him before the game where they got a hold of his number, Tennessee fans, and they were blowing him up all Friday night.
When he scored that touchdown, that was awesome.
That was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
I didn't find out till later what that meant.
Yeah, the call me thing, and cool. You got the dub. That's cool and all, but come on, Stetson.
Now, let's go to the complete other side of that discussion. To Mr. Manager, owner, chef, whoever makes those decisions at the high-end restaurant in Athens, you aren't comping Stetson Bennett?
Ain't that cold?
Really? He won the national champ. What, do you not like football? You're in Athens, Georgia. You're running a high-end something. I don't know, it's a steakhouse or whatever in Athens, Georgia. Stetson Bennett comes to eat at your place, and not one of you thinks, well, we might want to comp him. Well, yeah, but he complained. Oh, forget that part. Forget about the part where he acts like a baby when you say no. Why'd you say no? It's Stetson Bennett. It's the quarterback of the national championship team that just beat Tennessee.
Yeah, clearly they have no respect for him, and they might be bigger football fans than you think and say, hey, Stetson, we saw that defense that you had last year. Let's relax.
Oh, dude.
I could have played quarterback for that team and won a natty.
I got issues on both sides is what I'm saying. I got issues on both sides. On the first part of it, I'd tell the restaurant, you absolutely got to comp that kid's meal. And on the second part of it, I would tell Stetson, hey, if they're not going to, you got to walk. You got to go. Find out early and stiff them. Stiff them by not giving them your business. Walk out. And then tell everybody on the team, dude, don't go to that place. Don't go to that place. They wouldn't even take care of me over there. I'm sorry. He gets to expect that. He gets to expect that. Now, on the other side of it, if you want to sit and eat that whole meal, you got to leave more than $10. See, that's where you get to big boy him. You're Stetson Bennett. That's where you get to leave him a 50 spot and walk out with your head held high.
Yeah, you got a big boy.
And then if they put it on social media, they'll see what you did. Oh, man, he left us a 50 or 100 or whatever you want to do. You got to go one way or the other. He went right in the middle and went Scottie Pippen. You can't do that.
I mean, he might have to pinch some pennies because I don't think Stetson's going to have a pretty deep NFL career. XFL, maybe. USFL, possibly. But he might just be very smart and say, yo, I have to be cheap. I have to, I have to keep every single dime I get because this is it. After this season, if he ain't living in Athens, then we going to forget about homeboy.
And now starting at quarterback for your San Antonio Brahmas, Stetson Bennett. All right.
He better tip some good Mexican places if he goes to San Antonio. That's for sure.
Yeah, he better. You better.
They'll let him know about it. He might not make it out.
You're not leaving. You better be leaving tips for tamales for that stuff too.
Yeah.
Dude, they're putting too much work in it for you to
Way
tip.
too much.
For you to tip $10 on something like that. Come on now. All right, 2:00 hour coming up. We'll talk Longhorns and that path to a Big 12 championship. It's pretty clear right now. And the Astros getting that championship. If you want to jump in, 337-3776 is the Specs text line. This is the Horn. All right, let's talk a little Apple Leasing. I love my new car from Apple Leasing. You will love yours as well. Had a little rain today, no problems there. Love driving around in the car, and it was so easy, the process there with the Easy Lease. And I'm dealing with cars right now because I'm teaching my daughter how to drive, and she's going to be driving. And a little later when she's ready to go to college, going to be thinking about a car. And I definitely think the Easy Lease system is going to work there as well. It's so simple. You call 346-9977. You tell them what you're looking for, and then they go out and find it for you. It's that simple. Any make, any model, any car, any truck. I had certain things that I was looking for. I wanted to upgrade in terms of size, but I also wanted certain, gas mileage. I wanted certain miles per hour. I've never had that powerful a car. It's just all those little things I was looking for, and they were able to do it. It's the easiest and safest way to get a new car. They came back to me with the options. Hey, we found this. Which one are you interested in? And eventually, they just delivered it right to my driveway. They'll drive away your trade-in if that's what you need them to do as well. Such a great process. They, again, take all those dealer hassles away, but they get the same discounts and incentives that all the dealers do. So call 346-9977, and they'll start talking you through that Easy Lease process. You can also check them out at appleleasing.com. Ready to go for hour number 3 on a Monday. Chad and Zay with you. Hopefully you're not getting too much rain, but just the right amount of rain today. High school football playoffs are set. The Longhorns get a big win over K-State. Texas basketball cranks up this week. Monday Night Football tonight gets you Baltimore and New Orleans if you want it. Not sure how much of that I'll be watching.
I need Lamar Jackson and Alvin Kamara to have horrible games.
Oh, you need them to be bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Need them to be bad tonight.
All right. So the Brett Favre team is looking for some bad performances tonight on Monday Night Football. Hope you are having a good one, and we are also continuing to follow this story on the recruiting side of things. And it is definitely it's such a wild world. This is the old man comment of the day from me, but it's wild to me, Zay. You know, in the old days of following recruiting or whatever, you guys are having to chase stories down and you're having to go. But when you can literally have the kid himself, the athlete himself, just basically calling a press conference by hitting a button or two to verify it. And you go, oh, no, there it is right there. He decommitted. You didn't see that? Like he actually laid it out. So Anthony Hill, the linebacker from Denton Ryan, has decommitted from A&M. He will be reportedly in attendance when Texas hosts TCU. And then the Colton Vasek story, Colton Vasek has changed. Changed. He's edited social media to where it does not say Oklahoma commit anymore. And then there's a report that he might be attending the Texas TCU game. Someone texted us a few minutes ago, Zay, you may want to hug Chad with Hill decommitting. Oh, man.
He'll be all right.
Hey, you know how recruiting can be. You know how crazy it can be. Ultimately, these guys need to do whatever is best for them, and there's all kinds of reasons for them to do what they want to do. Obviously, we all would love for every single talented player to end up at our school, but sometimes they'll tell you in recruiting that these guys that cover it, they'll tell you that an individual game doesn't matter. They'll tell you that a rival game doesn't always matter, but you never can tell what's going to turn it. And right now in College Station, how could you fault a kid if he's looking at it with a bit of a question mark? If he's looking at that going, well, wait a second, hold on, 5 in a row?
Yeah.
And you're playing defense like that. Let's also remember he's a linebacker. Did I forgot to mention that part? He is a big-time linebacker.
Yeah, then you hear about all the stuff going on off the field, too. Like, he's not stupid. He has friends on that team. They're texting. They're talking. He knows what's going on off the field also, which Jimbo has issues going on off the field. So, why would you want to be around those types of things, especially when you got other teams having success like the University of Texas? Again, when you see Jalen Ford at your position, when you see him get player of the week and you see what DeMarion Overshown is doing, like, that looks like fun. If I'm a linebacker, I want to make tackles. I want to get interceptions. I want to have that type of freedom. So if you're Anthony Hill, which you got to think JT Sanders is a part of his recruitment, him being a Denton Ryan product also, if you're Anthony Hill, you gravitate towards those things, and you can't say anything really positive is going on in College Station right now.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. I just saw Texags tweeted out, Jimbo during his press conference asked about how young talent is handling a tough season. Quote, they're excited about where we're going and the future of our program. They like each other. They spend a lot of time together. They practice together. This is a very unified group, especially those young guys.
Yeah.
So A&M is
blunt sessions together where they can contemplate life and get out what they need to get out. Yeah. Clearly they get along very well. Smoking the best weed College Station can provide.
How dare you? How dare you? So the Anthony Hill story, a big one today. Obviously, we'll see about that Colton Vasek story if that actually does end up being a decommitment. Even if it's just Colton Vasek goes to the game on Saturday, that's a big deal.
Clearly, Anthony Hill isn't taking Jimbo's advice when he was asked a couple weeks ago about the recruiting coming in or all the guys coming in. Why would you want to come in? So I could play immediately since we're not a good team.
Right.
Clearly, Anthony Hill does not want to do that or be a part of that.
Might not. Yeah, no, that defense looks rough right now, giving up that many rushing yards in the last couple weeks. So it is tough. A&M's got to win out just to go to a bowl game, and there are questions now surfacing, been maybe for a little while now, but questions about A&M. Jimbo, what's the situation going on there? Obviously, for the Longhorns, it is a positive situation coming off of a win at K-State. Zay, I'll ask you the question that I asked Joe Cook earlier in the show. As a fan, you had to sweat through a little bit of that second half, obviously. There was a little bit of that, oh, Lord, not again. When it got to 31-17, I tweeted out, oh, my God, the last time a score broke Twitter like this, it was 28-3. It was about that Super Bowl and the Falcons and everything. I couldn't believe it was 31-17 again. But it was a little bit of a different circumstance. So
it was 31-10.
No, but it was 31. Right, it was 31-10. But then it became 31-17.
Right.
The same score they had in Lubbock, the same score they blew in Stillwater. But they didn't blow this one. They won it 34-27. How much confidence are you bringing out of that game into the Saturday night kick against TCU?
Still confident. I wasn't confident last week because I didn't know this team could win a game like this. This team, they made me proud, even though they had second half woes, they still were able to get it done in an away environment against the top 15 team and put themselves in situation that how can you not be proud of being in second right now with your eye on the Big 12 title? Like that's what you want. Steve Sarkisian's second year, he finally utilized Bijan Robinson. Again, we're going to look at the second half all week, especially playing against a team that's really good in the second half coming into town. But would this team have won this type of game last year? Absolutely not. Would they have won the Iowa State game last year? Absolutely not. Nope. So there's growth.
Yep.
You see them growing, and it's just about putting the talent together with the coaching, and sometimes there is a disconnect. Like, clearly there's an issue with the secondary, whether you say that's injuries, Jalen Gilbo, he's not going to be back for a couple of weeks. That's the issue. Thank goodness Ryan Watts was able to play, and he had a solid game, but there's still just question marks in that secondary, and hopefully with Max Duggan and Miller coming into town, hopefully this defensive line, which has carried this defense along with the linebackers, Demarion Overshown and Jalen Ford, hopefully they could start bringing these guys down because the pressure's there. They get pressure on the quarterback, but there's just too many times we saw Adrian Martinez somehow finesse his way out of pressure. There was one play where I swear Byron Murphy hit his arm.
Yeah.
And somehow Adrian Martinez twerked his body around and made a hell of a throw to Brooks down the sideline. It's like, what the hell? That how can we not get this guy down? But that's what we've seen this whole season with this defense. If they could put it all together, how could you not be confident? How can you not be excited about these next three games and what could happen with the rest of the season?
Yeah, by the way, the stat that Sark threw out, I double-checked him on it. So he said the last time Texas beat a top 5 team at DKR, it was 1999, and he is right. That was Nebraska, number 3 in the country. Texas wins 24-20. Since then, Zay, there have only been 2 games at DKR with a top 5 team in town. Only
LSU and who else?
Not LSU.
LSU.
They were 6.
Wow.
Yeah, they hadn't gotten up into the top 5 yet. There have been a couple different 6s that came to town. The 2 5s I found, 06, Ohio State was number 1 when they came in, and they won 24-7. And then TCU, that really good 2014 TCU team, they came to Austin, number 5 in the country, and they beat Texas 48-10.
That's fun.
Not since then, though. So I would have never guessed that the last time it was TCU. So you're looking at basically 8 years later, TCU comes back around, and they will be number 4 in the AP. We'll see if they will be top. You assume they would be top 4 in the new CFP rankings. That will be tomorrow, but that was the last time. So Texas trying to really get a big notch on the belt, win that game, and that would set them up. And you can see it. Just go look at the standings. Texas is sitting in second spot. They have beaten K-State, so they'd win a matchup there, a head-to-head. They don't need to lose a game because they'd lose a matchup with Oklahoma State if they go head-to-head. So it's win out. You'll give you give TCU a loss. Even if they kept winning, it'd be TCU and you in that title game. It'd be a rematch. And then once you beat Baylor, you're going to hand Baylor their third loss at least if you can beat them in the final game of the year.
Yeah, and think about what this game means for Gary Patterson. Because if you're Gary Patterson, you're a little bit salty with what TCU's doing right now. Like, yeah, you've put your stamp on the program. Hell, they have a damn statue of you. But Sonny Dykes came into a pretty good situation, picking up a lot of players that you recruited, that you developed. Hell, it's like seeing your ex-girlfriend with a new man, and this dude looks like Jalen Hurts. Like, you don't like that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see their ex living a better life with their new dude. And Gary Patterson has to see that. Hopefully this Texas defense and the whole team can take pride in that and use that as fuel because, I think Gary Patterson has definitely helped Pete Kwiatkowski and this defense because we've seen how good they've been this year. Just little things on, helping the ball club, helping Steve Sarkisian and et cetera. So hopefully, they can bring their A game because on the other side, TCU, they're probably thinking, you're a traitor. What the hell, coach? You go to them all the times that you were pumping us up and saying that, this is the team that didn't recruit you.
Right.
Gary Patterson said that more than once. So, and then you leave for them. So they have a lot of petty stuff to play for too down in Fort Worth. It should be a hell of a game Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. And again, game day is coming to town, and it is a big one for the Longhorns. So we've hit that today. Also, big congrats to the Astros. They get the win. Somebody texted us when Mattress Mac walked through the concourse at Minute Maid before Game 6. The crowd was going crazy. It was pretty cool. Mattress Mac wins $75 million.
Don't lose it soon.
Largest.
He'll lose it soon. He can't help himself. He's going to bet on something else.
Largest individual betting win ever.
Damn.
In I think the history of American betting. I don't know about the world, but the history of I think U.S. sports books. So Astros get that second all-important second World Series title. We talked about it earlier. Only the fourth team since 1980 to have 2 in 6 years. Back-to-back Toronto, the three-peat for the Yankees. Boston had a couple of 2 in 6 with the 04-07 and that 13 and 18 run of theirs. Now the Astros have 17 and 22. And let's see what happens next because they do have young talent. Jeremy Pena, congrats on that MVP. Framber Valdez was going to have to be unbelievable to me to take away that MVP. I thought it was Pena's all the way. The kid was amazing.
Yeah, just clutch hitting, him being so young, stepping into Carlos Correa's position. And like you said, Chad, he's better. With what he showed, his field work and playing the shortstop position, one of the most important positions in all of baseball. You have a lot of bright lights and eyes on you. And man, did he perform? Just cool, even kill. And yeah, shout out to Dusty Baker for him finally getting that monkey off his back. Definitely happy for him. And now you could call the Astros a dynasty. It depends on who you are. We know we got those petty ones out there that say, they check the trash cans and the mics and all that stuff, but can't take this one away from them.
No, that again, there's a legitimacy to this title on a lot of levels, and one of them is that you can have that dynasty discussion. You can have that kind of talk that you couldn't have with that Atlanta Braves team that had the run of all those division championships. They were a divisional dynasty. They were an NL dynasty, but they were not ultimately a world championship dynasty because they just won one. And they didn't find either before that 95 or after that 95. They couldn't find another one to hook onto it. The Astros have done that now. So hopefully all the Astros fans are going to enjoy that parade today. The Astros will. Dusty Baker getting all the love from the baseball world coming out of it. Last time I can remember a coach getting this kind of treatment and this kind of good feeling coming out of it, maybe Tony Dungy when the Colts won. I felt that kind of love for him. People were so happy where he had built up everything in Tampa, but he didn't get to ultimately be the coach of the championship team. Then he goes to the Colts and they win, and there was that kind of love for him. Dusty Baker is beloved in baseball. I was talking to a friend last night. I had forgotten that he had actually won one as a player. early 80s with the Dodgers. He's won a title as a player. It's just that he had coached more games than anybody ever in managerial history without winning a title, over 2,000 of them. And now he's off that list. Now that somebody in Buck Showalter are that list.
Yeah, Unc finally got him one, and it's funny when he, was asked about it. He was like, "Well, I mean, if you coach as long as I coach, you're bound to win one. It was just a matter of time. I didn't really worry about it." And yeah, he's already thinking about next year and repeating with these guys because he knows how good of a lineup and pitching staff / rotation that they have in the H.
Yep, you can't forget about the Astros in 2023. Certainly, Vegas says they have the second best odds to win the world title after the Dodgers. See, the Astros, you already have a chip on your shoulder for 2023. All right, coming up, why today matters. Had a nice scrumptious national day yesterday. Got some birthdays to hit, and we got great texts coming in on the Specs text line, 337-3776, and not all of them are making fun of my Aggies today. Most of them are, but not all of them are. Some of them are actually talking about the Longhorns and some other stuff. We'll get to some. We'll maybe get to all of it on the horn. All right, let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. Dr. Slaughter and his crew do great work over there. And this past weekend was just like all weekends for me in football season, just busy watching a lot of games and needing to get good sleep. And I certainly am able to do that ever since 2017 when I went to sinus and snoring specialists, took care of my moderate obstructed sleep apnea, took care of the allergy situation that I had going on. They can get rid of your allergies for good. They'll test you for 50 different allergies at once. They don't use needles, and you don't have to worry about that. And then they will help you out with this special treatment, these allergy drops that are designed to help you get rid of your allergies for good, so you can live in the Austin area without all the allergy issues. We're into November now, 7 days in. Have not had one of those issues, knock on wood. I'm trying to dodge this cold that my wife and daughter brought home, but I haven't had any of the allergy stuff. Call and set up an appointment today, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. Oh, this is a catchy little tune right here. Does this song have respect at all in the rap world?
Kinda.
Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna slightly miss this, and I heard him spell it out here. I know it's right there in the song. Is it DJ Scree or Screw? Not Scroobs.
It definitely ain't
No. But is it Scree or something like that? Is that
Skilo?
Skilo? That's what it is. Okay, ski. All right, had that wrong. Skilo. My bad. I told you I was gonna miss it.
Yeah.
What year are we talking about here?
90 something.
This is 90s, yeah. Skilo. All right.
Yeah, I feel like he was a one-hit wonder.
I would imagine this probably qualifies. By the one-hit wonder definition I like, it's one top 20 hit and that's it. You only have one in the top 20 ever.
I mean, in rap, you have to talk about how cool you are, not how you wish you were cool.
That's fair.
So, I mean,
The greatest rap song ever. I wish I was cool. No. You can't do that. Can't do that. All right, so Skilo, Quiet Riot, Blues Traveler, Madonna, and Twisted Sister have all been on the show today. There's a lot going on today. Obviously, the Longhorn victory over K-State, Astros winning the World Series. We've talked about all that. Got a busy week coming up with Texas and TCU. Somebody texted us a really good win for the Horns, but a big Nicki Minaj, Lizzo, but, there you go. Listeners to Ball Don't Lie with Rod and Harge. Rod does like to talk about those big butts sometime. Nicki Minaj, Lizzo, but I'm really concerned with our linebackers' ability to cover and to play assignment football.
Yeah, Jalen Ford got hit nasty by Deuce Vaughn on that first touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was rough.
Yeah, no, he did. He ended up just kind of trailing that play like he was his photographer. That was rough. You're right.
Yeah, then Jameer Johnson and Michael Taft, something happened on that Cade Warner touchdown in the middle field off that deep post. There was some lack of communication there because Jameer Johnson, he thought that Michael Taft was supposed to stay, but another wide receiver went out to that corner of the end zone. So Taft went with him. And then, it was too late. Cade Warner wide open. Adrian Martinez threw it on the money. So, there's definitely things that this team has to clean up. And hopefully, I'm not saying that I want this guy injured, but Quentin Johnston being the best receiver in the Big 12, him being a little gimpy, hey, gotta be healthy this time of the year. And if he isn't 100%, we'll take that. We'll take that.
Yeah, you take it. You don't wish for it.
No, absolutely not. But, hey, we got guys hurt too.
Yeah.
Jalen Gilbo, who knows when he'll be back. Sark said he definitely won't be back for this game, which that causes a lot of just question marks in that secondary because PK and they're moving guys around like crazy. So hopefully they can find something consistent going into this game. But you stop Miller and Max Duggan, which I think this defensive line can do. They've been really good at stopping the run. Then you give yourself a chance.
Whew, Miller's so good. So good.
He's good.
Texas is going to be one way or the other. Texas is going to be really happy they get this game at home because if you've watched those games in Fort Worth, man, TCU just figures out a way to get those home wins. By the way, shout out to the listener, our man Daryl, who reminded me we were going over the top 5 times somebody's top 5 team has come to DKR. We mentioned last time Texas won the game was 99 over Nebraska. Ohio State was number 1 in 06. TCU was number 5 in 2014. And obviously Bama this year. I didn't say that earlier, but Bama this season was number 1 when they came in, and Texas lost it 20-19. So thank you for mentioning that. There have been 3 games since Texas has beaten a top 5 where a top 5 team has come to DKR. So that will happen again coming up on Saturday. And it was there was a lot of I thought a lot of good ingredients to that game on Saturday night for Texas against K-State. Just a little bit. You saw a little bit of that. I don't know. It's let down. Sarkisian today, Zay is calling it. How do you say it? It's the self-inflicted wounds. They start hurting themselves is kind of his claim of what he's watching in that third quarter when it goes wrong. the mistakes, the little penalties that will kind of nag at you, and it's almost like that'll start, and then his play calling gets affected by that.
Yeah, like there was one play, especially false start. Okay, cool. Now it's 1st and 15. I don't know Quinn Ewers' percentage for passes over 30 yards. It ain't good. The only pass I remember that's a deep shot that he connected on was the pass right before he got injured by Dallas Turner in Alabama to Xavier Worthy on the sideline, and Quinn Ewers got hyped. That's the only thing I remember in passes like over 30 yards, those deep shots. So when you get in those 1st and 15s, and then they go for a deep shot, and
why
it
still
doesn't connect. Why are we doing that?
Why still run the play?
And then you know the next play on 2nd and 15 is gonna be a run. So now that's like maybe 2 yards, if that. You're sitting at 3rd and 13, and you're in bad situations. Instead, why don't you just slowly move the ball down the field? Whether that's a 5-yard pass, cool. Now it's 2nd and 10. Another 5-yard pass. Now it's 3 and 5. You're putting yourself in better situations where you could go back to that first half play calling where things were maybe working. But once they started putting like 9 guys in the box in the second half, plus those self-inflicted wounds, you know, it's just the play calling doesn't make sense. Like that those types of things, you're just shaking your head like, Sark, you're too good to be making things harder for yourself / the team. Like, why are we throwing it down the field on 1st and 15? Like, I get it. You love to do that. That's what you make your money on. But you got to know and have a feel for the game that these shots aren't working. Let's dumb it down a little bit.
No, I think that's fair. And I didn't understand that at all. By the way, somebody texted, anybody know when the team walks in on Bevo Boulevard? Yes, 4 o'clock, 2.5 hours before kick usually. So Bevo 3:30, team about 4 is going to be the best guess for this weekend. Like one of the things I really liked in this game that I'd like to see more of, right at the beginning, that 3rd down conversion. I didn't love that first play call taking the shot to Jatavian Sanders, but that little drag route to Sanders, where you're sending 2 guys out and then you just drag him across kind of in a shallow area like they've done with Xavier Worthy throughout the season. I like the way Quinn throws that pass. I like the way it sets up, and it usually gets them what they're looking for. It gets them the yardage. It gets them a first down. So I'm with you. When you immediately, if you were going to take a shot on 1st and 10, you probably do need to double think it. If you get yourself into a 1st and 20 or a 1st and 15 situation, do you still want to take that shot? Do you still want to be that aggressive? That's something they may want to, ultimately look at in those third quarters. There's going to be a wild game in terms of the ebbs and flows of it, because we know what TCU can do in terms of a start. I double-checked their last few games. Last 5 games for TCU, they trailed Tech by 4, won by 10. Trailed West Virginia by 7, won by 10. Trailed K-State by 18, won by 10. Trailed Oklahoma State by 17, won by 3. Trailed Kansas by 7 and won by 7. And then early in the season, they trailed Colorado early by 3 and won by 25. So they have trailed in 6 of the games they've played.
Yeah, they don't give up.
So at some point, if you're Texas, you got to be thinking about, can you get off to a really good, fast start? Can you do what you did in Manhattan here? You put a full 3 touchdowns on them. At their place, you're telling them, hey, you got to go 3 full trips. And ultimately, they couldn't do it. They couldn't go 3 full touchdown trips to catch you. Texas not only held a double-digit lead, they didn't give up the lead, if you think about it. Because it went from, once they got to 21-10, they kept building, 31-10, and it got scary at 31-24, but they never gave up the lead.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. Just getting the dub, coming out of Manhattan with a victory, and going through adversity. I mean, Roschon Johnson, he was at the fullback position, gets the 4th down conversion, and then he gets stripped. Like, that's brutal, and that could be, for your leader to have that happen to him, that could have swung the game in the wrong way. And then Xavier Worthy early in the second half, like, he doesn't fumble much, and he had that really nice catch, and then perfect shot on the ball, helmet to ball, that pops out. So they turned the ball over and went through adversity and still was able to get the dub. And, you got to be proud of this team for going through that, because I don't think we've seen that in previous years.
All right, real quick before a break here, let's squeeze in a Why Today Matters. We'll give you a couple reasons why it definitely matters if you're a Longhorn fan. Here we go. All right, let's make it all Longhorn related here. If you missed it, these recruiting updates, Colton Vasek has wiped the OU commit part off of his social media. Hasn't officially decommitted yet, I don't believe, but Longhorn fans are excited about that. Plus, he may be coming to the TCU game this weekend. Anthony Hill also reportedly is going to the TCU game this weekend. The linebacker out of Denton Ryan has officially decommitted from A&M. Also, Texas-Kansas, a 6-day window announcement on that game, so we'll know the kick time this weekend. And why does today matter for a former Longhorn? Sam Ehlinger found out today that his head coach got fired. Frank Reich is out in
See ya, Frank.
Indy. Sam Ehlinger, what a weird way to start his time as a starting quarterback. And did you hear who the interim coach is? I thought this was a joke when I saw it.
Jeff freaking Saturday.
They went and got the guy from, he's not just the guy from ESPN. He's obviously Peyton Manning's center. He's a legend, but really?
I heard his track record of coaching high school football ain't the best either.
Wow.
So to just jump ship, has he even been in the locker room?
I don't know.
Can we have a guy that's been in the trenches with us every day at least? You don't have to fire the whole staff already.
God, who's the
damn Jim?
Who is on that staff that's so horrible that you had to go to Jeff Saturday? Really, Irsay?
Hey, with the way that offensive line look, my man Sam Ehlinger sacked 9-something times. Hey, maybe Irsay's we need
Jeff Saturday. Fair enough.
We need an offensive lineman as the head coach because our offensive line is that bad. And this is Sam Ehlinger. The guy's pretty athletic. If he's getting trapped and can't get out of situations, we know Bill Belichick's a good coach. We know how he is with young guys. But come on, 9 times, man.
Yeah.
That's bogus.
That's crazy. All right. Also, yesterday was National Nachos Day. Hope you got to enjoy some nachos over the weekend. Today, it's bittersweet chocolate with almonds. So go ahead and have yourself a little food if you like. Up next, we'll get you stems and seeds before we get out of here, setting you up for Monday Night Football and a little Monday Night Basketball at the Moody Center. Texas men's schedule, the regular season schedule, gets going tonight. We will tell you all about it next on The Horn. All right, this is Chad talking Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. Oh, I almost had a win over the weekend. Geno Smith and Kyler Murray. I just needed Geno to have one more touchdown than Kyler. They ended up dead even, though. That was a Rivals pick that I made. I've told you about these pick'em games, and you can do Rivals picks. One I did get right, though, Travis Kelce, more receiving yards than Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a little number on there. It was minus 15.5, so he had to have 16 or more yards. He ended up having 18 or more yards, so I got it right on there. It was able to get that. So that's the kind of fun you have with these pick'em games, whether it's a rival pick like that, or you could pick whether your favorite player will have a higher or lower stat total in that week's game. If you think somebody's going to throw a pick, sometimes they'll set it at 0.5 interceptions, and you just go ahead and pick higher there. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game. Just pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. You get them all right, and you win. Remember to also look at that pick insurance option, which increases your chances of winning, because then you'll only need 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 or so on. Sign up today with the promo code HORN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. $100. Maybe get a game going tonight for Monday Night Football. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. It's Underdog Fantasy. Whoa, well, all right. My goodness. Show started with some excitement. We're ending it that way, too. Look out now.
I'm on top of my waterbed.
Whoo. Wait, a waterbed reference?
Yeah, waterbed reference.
Nice. That is fantastic. All right, who is it, Zay?
112 Anywhere.
112.
I was singing this song at like 10 years old. Had no idea what I was singing. Now I'm like, man, these dudes were out here.
Isn't that great in music when years later you find out, oh, God, that's what that song's about? Oh, yeah. I remember about 5 years after Little Red Corvette by Prince came out. And I started going back through those lyrics like, oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're doing there. I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so a little 112 to finish us off today. Ski Low, Quiet Riot, Blues Traveler, Madonna, Twisted Sister. It's all been a part of it. Again, congrats to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame folks over the weekend. Somebody was asking about, come on, Chad, how could you miss Dolly? I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't miss Dolly. They didn't air it, did they? They don't air it till later, right?
I don't know.
It didn't air live, did it? I don't think they ever run that thing live. If it did, please tell me where to go find it. I want to see it. I want to see Dolly Parton and Rob Halford singing on a stage together. That'll freak me out. And apparently the Eminem thing was incredible because Eminem just kept performing songs, and these incredible guests kept showing up to help. So he did the song where he sampled Dream On by Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler showed up.
Oh, that's cool.
And helped him out. And then it was, what did I hear? There's a weird idea. Instead of Dido showing up to do her parts in Stan, it was like Ed Sheeran showed up to do it.
Huh.
And then there was another one. I can't recall what it is right now. There was another guest that jumped out, and then they said it was really, really good. But it was like, that was like kind of half the performance. Eminem's always great. You're expecting that. But then just to have those people literally show up in the flesh and not just have it play, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Eminem has classics, man. So have all those people come out, that's pretty monumental. And shout out to M representing hip hop in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Eminem in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a heck of a diverse night when you have Eminem, Dolly Parton, Judas Priest, and Duran Duran. We're all a part of the same night. All right, Stems and Seeds for you, brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. I'm seeing here Jerry Hamilton of On 3 is now predicting his new prediction that Anthony Hill will end up at Texas. He has decommitted from A&M and is scheduled to be at the TCU game. Colton Vasek no longer says OU commit on his social media, and he's supposed to be at the TCU game. This game's getting bigger by the second, Zay.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Game day is going to be here. The Horns have a chance to put themselves in Jerry World. Got to counter on these opportunities.
All right, Zay, before we get out of here, somebody says, Zay, you would know best. Tonight, does Texas blow out UTEP by 23? They're asking specifically.
Yes.
Yes?
I don't know what UTEP brings to the table, but that means Texas should blast them.
You say lay the points.
Lay the points.
Lay those points. All right. Texas and UTEP tonight, 7:30 pregame, 8 o'clock on the tip. We'll have Soccer Matters for you, shortened version, 7 to 7:30 with Glenn. Right before that, of course, Ball Don't Lie is coming up next. Texas basketball tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for a Tuesday show and continue to get you set up for Texas and TCU. Have a good one. See you. Oh, I was talking through that music.
Yeah.
It's all right. Okay. So I had a little extra time. Terribly sorry.
Shout out to Dicker the Kicker.
Oh, hey, yeah. Dicker the Kicker. And for a team I can actually root for him. Kick you. I didn't care about the Eagles one, but I like the Chargers one.
Yeah, F the Eagles for cutting him. Now he's just going to go on and make game-winning kicks for other teams.
You think those guys that were picking him up thought, hey, what's his name? I don't even know. I think somebody said Dicker. Dicker. Oh, Dicker the Kicker. The kid from is that who you did you go to Texas? Hey, that's a big game this weekend they got. That's a big win they got. All right, Dicker. Habit didn't know who he was.
Yeah, 2 game-winning kicks this year.
Good for him, man. I saw Michael Dixon hit a couple punts yesterday for Seattle, too. That dude is still a machine.
Yeah.
God, he is incredible.
Seahawks still rolling.
You know what? Texas punter. Trejo had another good day. Good for him, too. I've talked too much. See ya.